Alright, students, today we're talking about Poland and the Baltic countries. Let me get this PowerPoint up and going. There we go. Okay. So as you'll see here on this map, we've talked about Sweden, Norway, Denmark, the Scandinavian peninsula. So right across the Baltic Sea is Poland. And then we have the Baltic countries of Estonia, right there, Latvia, right there, and then Lithuania. I'm pretty sure you can see my mouse. I'm not exactly sure, but it's the first time I'm doing this, and I honestly don't know if you all will be able to see it tomorrow. Hopefully I can get it uploaded. So yeah, this is the general area that we're going to be talking about. Poland, and then the Baltic countries of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. So here we go. We're starting off with the history of Poland, and we'll get into the Baltic countries here in a little bit. So Poland was named after the Slavic people, and the actual word Poland comes from their Slavic words meaning plain and field. So it pretty much just describes their natural landscape of having plains and rolling hills. So that's just where the word Poland comes from. Poland was under the control of Russia from the 1700s to the 1800s. They finally became independent after World War I. However, during World War II, so Poland became independent from Russia following World War I. And then during World War II, the Soviets, which is the Soviet Union, which covered most of Russia, started to occupy Poland again, so they lost their independence. And they were under communist rule for about 40 years. However, they gained back independence in 1991 after communist rule. Okay, so the history of the Baltics. So once again, over here is this map of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. So these are the Baltic countries. They also, like Poland, gained independence from Russia after World War I. And then the Soviet Union, again, took these countries back over during World War II. So the Soviet Union was, Russia became the Soviet Union as a communist country, and they took over different territories in parts of Europe, like these countries, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And in 1991, they regained independence from the Soviet Union. However, some citizens still have ties to the communist economy, communist government, and the way of life. Basically, if you don't know what it means to, or if you don't know what a communist government is, it's a really strict, authoritative government that basically controls all aspects of life within that country. So there's not many privately owned businesses in a communist country, or if there is any at all. The government in a communist country basically owns everything. All the businesses, they control the economy completely. The government decides every aspect of how that country runs. So some citizens still in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania still have ties, meaning that they still kind of believe in the positive things with communists, with the communist government. But however, most of the citizens are glad that they have more of a democratic way of government. Russia, as you'll notice down here, still controls this little area called Kaliningrad. Now, Kaliningrad isn't close to Russia. It has Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania separating Kaliningrad from Russia. However, Kaliningrad is an exclave, which means it's an area separated from the rest of its country. So Russia controls Kaliningrad. It's basically a territory of Russia. So kind of like Puerto Rico. It's not a state of the United States, but it's a territory of the United States. So Kaliningrad is kind of the same thing to Russia. Okay, so more about Poland, the actual culture of Poland. So the ethnicity if you live in Poland and you've been born and raised there, you're Polish. It's kind of like if you're born and raised in Scotland, you're Scottish. If you're born and raised in England, you're English. It's the same thing. So they speak Polish. That's their language. Most of the people that live in Poland are Roman Catholic, or would call themselves Roman Catholic. The major cities in Poland, this one is called Warsaw, and it's the capital city of Poland, and it's the transportation hub, meaning that all the transportation hubs, so public transportation, it's the city with the most and largest commercial area, so there's a lot of business interaction that goes on in Warsaw, and Warsaw is historically remembered as one of the largest areas with a Jewish population, so it has a very large Jewish population. But in World War II, the Warsaw area was known for its Jewish ghettos that during the German occupation of Poland, all the Jewish people were forced to live in a very small and condensed area in housing that wasn't big at all and didn't have all your basic amenities that people needed. So when we say Jewish ghetto, we don't really mean ghetto as the term that we would think of it nowadays, but the Jewish ghetto that was around in Warsaw. So Warsaw had the largest Jewish ghetto. Millions of Jews were forced to live in this one specific area of the city in just slums and terrible housing situations. There would be 20 plus people living in the size of a room that you might call your closet or something like that. Just an awful place to live, and they were forced to live there. There was the Jewish uprising in Warsaw, so after a while, the Jewish people there finally just had enough of being concentrated into this one little area, and so they started to collect guns and weapons and everything, and they rebelled against the German soldiers that kept them in this area. And they rebelled so long that they actually kind of had a little mini war within itself, within Warsaw, with the Jewish uprising, the Jewish people that lived in this ghetto of Warsaw, and then the German soldiers outside there. However, eventually the German soldiers were able to defeat them, but it's just one of the most memorable and important Jewish uprisings within their ghettos that they were forced to be in by the German government. Okay, let's see here. We're moving on to Poland's economy. They've progressed since the communist era, so since the Soviet Union had controlled Poland. They've gotten out of that now, and they have a bit more of a mixed economy with, more of a mixed economy of capitalism now, and they've progressed, meaning that it's become more profitable and better. They focus with glass manufacturing is some of the things that they provide. Coal and steel industries aren't as profitable as the glass manufacturing, but since 1997, they have, like I said, they've kind of become more of a mixed economy, so they've changed to a free market economy and turned the government-owned companies into privately owned companies, so that's a lot better for the structure of their economy. So that's turning those government-owned companies into privately owned companies. It's helped improve. It's helped put the money back into the people's hands instead of the government's hands. So they've progressed since the communist era through that type of transition. In 2004, Poland joined the European Union, which we all know what the European Union is now. And we all know that if you are a Polish citizen, you can also move to another European country and be a citizen in that country too. Okay, so some other agricultural products that Poland exports are, it says cereals down here. It doesn't mean they're making Fruity Pebbles or Fruit Loops or Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but they have grains and everything that is made into cereals. So wheat, barley, that kind of stuff. They produce that. Potatoes, sugar beets, those are their main crops that they produce. So farming has suffered with move from the communist era, and we're going to move on to the Baltic countries. So during the Middle Ages, there were two groups. Okay, these two groups were the Balts and the Finns. And these two groups, the Balts and the Finns, made what is now called the Baltic countries of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Now, the Balts occupied what is known as Latvia and Lithuania, whereas the Finns occupied Scandinavia, and then they settled in Estonia. Historically, the Baltic Sea has been one of the biggest trading routes in Northern Europe because it connects the Scandinavian peninsula with the rest of continental Europe, also Russia. Of course, Poland's down there, so they can all have that trading access through the Baltic Sea to connect each other with their resources and sell it back and forth to each other. So the Baltic Sea is a very important trading route for these countries. So the Estonian language, they speak Estonian, and it's related a lot to the Finnish languages just because of their geographic region. Their languages kind of connect, have similar words and meanings. Most Baltic countries, the people within these Baltic countries are Lutheran. So instead of being Roman Catholic, the majority of these people are Lutheran, Protestant Lutherans. Latvia has ties to Sweden because of their long history with trade, and Lithuania is closer culturally to Poland and the Roman Catholic Church. So all three share some challenges of trying to rebuild their economies since the communist rule. So the influence of communism and the government controlling every aspect of the economy, of businesses, of how you basically can live your life, of going to school and all that stuff. Since that has changed into private ownership, their economy and their way of life has improved, but they're still struggling with the impacts of communism throughout these countries. One of those impacts being environmental pollution that the Soviets have left over. Okay, that is all we have for today with Poland and the Baltics. Hopefully you took notes. If you have any questions, let me know.